Susan from the chamber, and I appreciate our sponsor today, there, community cards. We're gonna hear a little bit more from them in a minute. But we're gonna, let's see. There we go. We have a full house, which we expected. It's a great topic. We also have folks that are joining us on Zoom, and so just the housekeeping rules. Everybody is muted, and we ask that you hold your questions. I'll put them in the chat towards the end, and don't record anything without permission. So I'm glad to have folks joining us outside this room also. Let's see. We'll go ahead. Let's do a quick introduction. So get an idea of who's here. We've got a great program today on Convention Center, and that'll take some time, and also time for question and answer. But why don't we go out in the room so we can find out who else is here?
Thanks for saying that for us.
Oh yeah.
I'm Angie Clampett with Prolific Exteriors. We are based out of Mexico.
I'm Deborah Marshall. I'm with Missouri Life Magazine, and we're based out of Rocheport.
Derek Thomas, candidate for City Council 3rd Ward. I'll be at Papo's tonight to answer any questions. Come see me.
Deborah Tommy, I am from Veridine. I work in the state Medicaid agency.
Adam Rush, Butterbridge Contracting out of Holt Summit.
Raylene Duckworth, Rise Up Foundation, Jefferson City.
Corey Duckworth, Mobile County Entertainment, right in Jefferson City.
Katrina Timmons, Central Bank, and board member for Red Slipper Warrior Project.
Frank Isaac, ED Rotary.
Good morning, Stu Murphy, proud ambassador.
Deb Bushman, Holland Family Chiropractic Ambassador. Missy Bono, and I'm with the Jefferson City Regional Economic Partnership.
Helpers and also other mess.
Michael Love, First State Banking Trust Mortgage, and also Mid-Missouri Referral Alliance.
Ever Manna with Maxwell Leadership Solution. Cole Harrington, the Bill of Rights Institute.
Good morning, Rochelle Weaver, Cumulus Media. Jackie Coleman, Coleman and Associate, and a tired ambassador. Cut me some ribbons.
We got a lot going on in this town.
Bradley Collier of Scouting America, board member of Red Slipper Warrior, ambassador, and Chamber of Barbecue Committee. So please mark your calendars for that. So we got sponsorships, so you'll be getting a phone call from me to give some money to the sponsorships for barbecue coming up. So.
Thank you, Brad.
Renee Brown, Chamber Staff.
You wanna go, Luke?
That's Luke Ritzler with the Jefferson City Regional Economic Partnership.
Ron Fitzwater, Missouri Pharmacy Association, and Mayor Jefferson City.
Diane Gillespie, Jefferson City Convention and Visitor Bureau. Molly Bryan, I'm with the City of Jefferson.
Paul Sampson, Jefferson City Regional Economic Partnership.
Rick Lancaster, private practice counselor.
Carrie Spicer, Epic Real Estate Group.
Sue Hendricks, I'm with Self-Produced High Marketplace.
Good morning, Kevin Nelson, or Mobile Drug Testing.
Bo West, Colonial West Apartments.
Brian Crane, City of Jefferson.
Jeff Allers, First Ward City Council.
Joseph Profit, Sessions, Community.
Darcy Crane, Capital City Court Appointed Special Advocate.
I'm Brent Bates, president of State Fair Community College.
Jay Moore with Chamber Staff, and I have to apologize if it gets warm in here. We're doing major renovations on our HVAC system, and who would have anticipated mid-80s for
I'm Harry Plummer with the Chamber.
Brad Henderson, State Fair Community College.
Lori Pitts with the Chamber. I'm Melinda Jennings with the Salvation Army.
Renee Ziegel, Jefferson Bank, also Chamber Women Connect Chair.
Gage Class, County Hill Foster Care Ministries.
Sherry Doctorino, Shantisco.
Mackenzie Job, City Council Ward 5, and owner of Kitty's Group.
Mike Lester, City Council Ward 2.
Last and least, Stephanie Lehman, CNS Employment Solutions.
Good, yeah. We have some new members that I want to recognize. I don't think we had anyone here today being from the Great River Engineering, Pete Siding and Supply, Prospero Spa, and Total Lending Concepts. So we welcome those new members that have joined since we've been together last. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Gates for presentation. Clicker, I know you have a couple slides. Control, I think you have two.
So it's a pleasure to be here, pleasure to be the sponsor of the breakfast this morning. This is my second chamber breakfast this week. Sedalia had their chamber breakfast yesterday, I guess, and the sponsor went on and on and on. I was late to my next meeting, so I promise you I won't do that. I'll be very brief. This is a little bit about State Fair Community College. We're your community college here in Jefferson City, SFCC Jefferson City. We have a campus co-located on the Lincoln campus, and we're very proud of that. That campus is just getting up and going. We have 25 students there this spring semester, and we expect this getting bigger and bigger as we move on. But we have other things going on in the community that we're proud about, and we're here to support you however you need. And so I've met with, we've met with different constituency groups here in the community. We work with Luke in economic development, and we have an exciting project that we're working on, exploring ways that we can get more people into the manufacturing sector, more employment. We have a project with Unilever, a new jobs training project with them that's been very successful, and it's been a project that Unilever corporate is copying all over the nation now based on the experience with State Fair Community College at a Unilever plant here in Jefferson City. So we're looking to build that pipeline to all of our manufacturing, because these jobs are great jobs with, but they have training needs with them, highly technical jobs. So that's just an example of an exciting project we work on. Our strategy is to partner with folks. Like on this project, we're partnering with the school district, with Lincoln University, with economic development, and with industry, figuring out the way we can all come together to make things happen on behalf of the community. So that's what we're here for. We're the fastest growing community college in the state last year. We're number 2 in higher education. Fastest growth in the state, number 1, Lincoln University. Not surprising, we're partnering together, similar philosophies in making things happen, so. And there it is. And so that's the branding for our partnership with Lincoln University Connect Blue. Students come, the idea is study with us, transfer right into Lincoln University. Students can live in the residence halls in Lincoln University, go to homecoming, football games, be students at State Fair, use A+. It's win-win for all. So thank you very much. Any questions for me? I think I did it under 5 minutes. Just go all together, Brad, or? Brad Henderson's our Director of Marketing Communication. I forgot to mention also our Director here in Jefferson City is Dr. Trika Young. She's on the City Council and well known in the community, and she must be on campus today. So.
Yeah.
All right, we have these two.
Yes.
Brad said it's 2, yeah. You can come up and be in the picture, Brad.
Wow, I'll take the picture.
Okay, okay. I do that too, Brad. Who is it? Let's see, Deb Bushman. I call Deb over there. And then the other person, well, maybe we'll take our picture together, how about that?
Gage Kloss.
Okay, come on up, you guys. You stand over there and hold your prizes, and then we can. You gotta have to stand a little bit over here so they'll get it. You got it. They'll be so polite, right?
And that's the clicker.
Okay, close over here a little bit, this way. Perfect. Good.
Are you okay? Are you okay?
People alive again there. We appreciate that sponsorship, and Rochelle's here. Our partnership on this sponsorship, not only do you get to announce here, but Rochelle, do you want to say anything about?
Yeah, thanks for your product sponsorship. Besides doing this today, we'll get to meet with you guys, and we'll practice a 30-second radio ad, and we'll get 25 ads to run on one of our radio stations. From Connect Blue. Awesome, thank you.
Okay, Albert, you want to stand up and talk about our lunch and learn we have next week?
Yeah, absolutely. Again,
is Ever Mena, and yes, I'm not George Jefferson, I'm Ever Mena. So, I'm an executive coach, and I do a lot of leadership development programs here in town, and I am licensed to teach everything that John Maxwell has reading, if you know who John Maxwell is. So I'm gonna be doing a lunch and learn here based on productivity, focusing on the 3 R's: requirement, return, and reward, and it's gonna be here in the chamber Tuesday morning. And today, if you don't have lunch plans, I'm gonna be at Green Leaf Cafe. I'm doing a lunch and learn on communication. So thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, encourage you to register. You have a flyer there. There's a QR code, easy to register. It's $15 to cover your lunch. We appreciate Ever supporting our small business network, and he's doing that training for us at no cost. And so we really appreciate his support and hope that you can register for that. Some other networking things I want to draw your attention. We appreciate our friends at Mid-America Bank for sponsoring our Chamber Connections at Courtyard Marriott. That's always the third Thursday. It's March 20th, 4 to 5:30. So stop by, bring your business cards, and make some business connections. Lori or someone who else? No, Renee, you should. You want to talk about the symposium?
Hello, Women's Symposium. This is the second annual. Last year we had 150 women. It was just super powerful, and we knew we needed to make it bigger, better. So it's next week on Wednesday. A very few spots left. So if you have women that are in your organization or friends that you know would love some professional development to network, we have amazing speakers coming for this event. So just a few spots left. So I would say get in quickly. It's going to be a powerful day.
Another great event, Young Professionals. I don't know if I have anybody in the room to speak to this. This is the Young Professional Signature event. It's their charity event, and it's Bottoms Up for Babies because it's a wine tasting, and the charity is the Capital City Diaper Bank. So you can come enjoy some great wine and support a great cause. It's April 3rd in Special Olympics, Missouri, and they have tickets online for that event. We appreciate Brightspeed for being our presenting sponsor for that. State of Education, Gary, do you want to speak to this event?
We are doing State of Education this year, April 23rd at the Capitol Plaza. We do State of the City and the County on alternating years. A couple of years ago, we did the State of the Workforce. This year, we State of Education. We've got some great panelists, both K-12 and higher education lined up to be a part of the program. Special thank you to SSM Health and Hitachi for being our presenting sponsor. You see some of the other companies that are supporting us there as well. So $30 ticket. Get a hold of Lori or May, and they can take care of the registration. Thank you.
Good. Okay, on Chamber Barbecue, May 1st this year. It's 1 week earlier than what it traditionally would be because of graduations for Elias Catholic High School and Jefferson City High School are on the 8th, so we moved it. This is a new day, and Bradley already said you need to buy a sponsorship for this. It is the Chamber's biggest event of the year, and this is a great opportunity for you to promote your business. And you can see from that photo, it's just a wonderful event, Capitol Bluffs, great barbecue, networking, music. It's just opportunity for you to come, network, socialize. You can get your barbecue to go. So that is an event that you definitely don't want to miss. March 28th is the deadline if you want to be a sponsor and have your name or your logo included on the invitation. So that's an important date. By the end of March, you need to let us know that you're going to either continue your sponsorship or have a new one. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the mayor for an update, and then he's going to go.
Thank you very much. There's a lot going on in the city. Hopefully you've seen it. Our public information officer Molly does a great job. So I'm not going to talk about other projects within the community, but you've had a chance to hear about the soccer complex and some other exciting things. We've got some housing projects coming online, but today we wanted to spend our time talking about the conference center, and I appreciate my colleagues from council being here, Councilman Lester from the 2nd Ward, Councilman Allen from the 1st Ward, and Councilman Joe from the 5th Ward. So you've got 3 of your wards covered, and we appreciate the partnership, and this has been a partnership. I mentioned Molly, Brian, and we've also got Brian Crane. If I missed any other of our city partners, I apologize, but this has been a team effort. I just wanted to talk about a couple of things. You know, people in this community know that we have been talking about the conference center for a long time. talked to a group yesterday, and we found in minutes, when, after the current Capitol was opened a little over 100 years ago, there was in minutes, in some meeting, and it may have been a chamber meeting, I'm not sure, but there was a reference that, you know what the capital city needs now is a conference center, a place that we can host meetings. So, there's been a lot of groups working on that. We've been very diligently working on that project for about 100 years. This group is better than the group I spoke to yesterday. That's the best joke I got, so. They were stone cold. I said, holy cow, they really think we have been diligently working for 100 years. The two things that this project brings to the table, that this is gonna be the final project you're gonna hear about. This is gonna happen, you're gonna see shovels in the ground. But the two things, we've built on the work that the other partners and the other programs have worked on. The thing that we never had an opportunity for was a site downtown, close to the Capitol, close to businesses, restaurants, bars, shops, where guests to our city would have everything at their feet if they leave the complex. So one of the positives we have is a great site. And again, the groups that have worked on this project, they've tried things that didn't work, which gave us some good information. They've tried things that did work that we've tried to incorporate into this project. The second is, when I came into the mayor's office 2 years ago, we were kind of winding down the last attempt. We were hitting some brick walls and some stone walls out at the prison. My only second joke is some of the walls at the prison are coming down, so. But we were hitting some walls because Mr. Crane has done a great job as city administrator, but he has got so many things on his plate. We felt like we needed a professional to head up this project. We cannot manage this from inside City Hall. We don't, although we've got amazing people, we don't have the technical ability to drive a project like this. So as the site was becoming available, Luke and I began a discussion of, if we're gonna have to tear down the garage, if we're buying the News Tribune, we're gonna be able to put a half of the city block together in the middle of the city. What if we had the opportunity to put a new parking garage, a hotel, and a conference center on that site? So we started bouncing ideas, which led to, if we get into this project, would you and Missy and Paul wasn't on JC Rep at the time, that came in and was very knowledgeable about the product. Would you guys take the role of being kind of the lead of this partnership? And again, it's the county, it's the city, it's the state of Missouri, it's JC Rep. Gary and the chamber have done an amazing job of being a partner, and they very graciously stepped up. And I think that is the success point that's going to get us across the finish line. So, talk a little bit longer than I was going to, but Luke Holtschneider, and he's going to kind of walk you through the project. And I know Diane has been a key part of the partnership as well, and I think Diane Gillespie has part of the program this morning. So, I'm going to turn it over to them.
Okay, appreciate it. And, appreciate the mayor's comments, and it truly has been a team. While I don't think Diane and the CBD team gets enough credit, they are an instrumental piece of this entire process. And another city staff person, Brian.
Sorry.
Can't forget the attorneys. Always need the good attorneys. And so I'm actually going to defer to Diane first, and to kind of pick up where the mayor, I'm up there. Where the mayor had kind of left us, but, leading up to, why this project, why a conference center, why has it been talked about for 100+ years? And I'll turn it to Diane to kind of give us some background on that.
Yeah, I was sitting here listening to the mayor talk about how long we've been talking about this, and I'm gonna date myself, but I helped open Capitol Plaza Hotel, and Mr. Hammonds and I stood out there and talked about the conference center going in that health lab. And I think today, he's probably chuckling that I am still dealing with that in Jefferson City. So I'm like, we gotta get this done, guys. We gotta make this happen. So, there. So why do we need a conference center in Jefferson City? And this is why. All these businesses here are located in Jefferson City. And I don't know if you guys realize that there's over 125 state associations in Jefferson City. And that doesn't count the state government agencies that have conferences. And guess what? They all have meetings. And a lot of those meetings are driving out of Jefferson City, going to the Lake of the Ozarks, going to Branson, Springfield, and to Columbia, St. Louis, St. Charles. They want to be here, but we don't have the facility to accommodate them. Either we don't have the quality of the facility or we don't have the facility big enough. And all along I have said this facility has to be bigger than what we currently have in Jefferson City. We got to be able to bring meetings to Jefferson City to that next step, to those groups that we've never been able to host. Back in 2016, we lost the Truman Hotel, and we lost that meeting room space. So since then, we have gone down in the conference hosting business in Jefferson City. We lost 16,000 square feet of meeting room space. And you think about that, that's a lot of space. Might have not been the best space, but it accommodated a lot of groups here in town. So we need some additional space. Here's some more associations. And these are just some that I've had conversations with. And I also will mention that I'm constantly getting phone calls from these people saying, when can I book the conference center? And I'm like, oh, I want it now, but I can't. So there is a demand. You read about these cities that are looking at building conference centers in their towns, and they're like, we have to develop the market because we've never been able to host it. We don't have to develop the market. We have the market here in the community, and they will book. So then they're like, okay, we'll be busy during legislative session. Guys, these groups have conferences June through December when session's not going on. So yes, there will be business during legislative session, but there's business after legislative session. So keep that in mind. So then, this is the stacking of what the hotels will look like. It is a conceptual design, so keep in mind there could be some changes, but we're looking at 200 room full service hotel, and it will be a branded hotel, meaning it'll be a Hilton, a Marriott, a Hyatt. It'll have a brand on it. And then 29,000 square feet of conference space. The large ballroom conference center is going to be around 16,500 square feet. That's 4,500 square feet more than what we currently have. And then you have an additional 10,000 square feet of flexible event space. So you have other space that can be used for pre-function. There's meeting rooms that will be able to be used for breakouts, exhibit space, that type of thing. And then the 2,000 flexible space, again, is pre-function, exhibit space, registration area, receptions, coffee breaks, that type of thing. And then the 690 space parking garage is how I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Excellent. Well, and with Diane, too, kind of the background and knowledge of the demand that's there, as we started down this path, in working with some third-party consultants to understand what is the market, what is the demand that would like to locate their business, their events in Jefferson City. And what we began to understand is, as a capital city, much of those travelers, much of that business is based off of group demand. So it's your professional conference event goers. So it's a multi-day type of event. But also there's demand for additional facilities and larger facilities to support the community needs. So some of our larger single event purposes that we have throughout the community. So as Diane said, we've lost a considerable amount of business over the years. And I'll get into what that business means to the community as far as an impact. And that lost business has been communicating their desire to be back here. They didn't leave because they didn't want to be here. They left because we didn't have facilities to best accommodate and suit their needs anymore. And so the vast majority of projected business that will be coming to Jefferson City has been here before. It's not here anymore, but it has desire and has expressed that interest of coming here. So very excited for it. Ultimately that's why I'm pursuing the project. But then, what does that mean to the community? So to us, and looking at it from a community impact and especially from an economic development perspective, understanding why having an event center, a conference center, and a hotel in the downtown, that's great. It can serve some, folks that would be hosting some events within the community. But what does that benefit the community? And I think that's extremely important to understand is that it's not just the facility itself that we're anxious and excited for. It's what having that facility and bringing visitors into this community, what it does for the community. That's where the excitement really, I mean, for us is extremely, it's unmatched. It's one of those where as a capital city and looking at ways that we can grow and impact our community, this is one of those unique opportunities that we are well positioned for. So kind of getting into some of the economic impact type of information is, you get a visitor, so you host an event, you have a facility like this, it brings visitors in. So it's drawing new folks into the community, both from a temporary standpoint, but it's also introducing the community to people that may not have experiences here. So it's an opportunity for us to be a host. And so as a host, and you can think about this in your own personal life, when somebody comes to visit, you want to provide them services, food, drinks. You want to have a welcoming environment that makes it a good visit. Because a good visit can bring a return visit. And ultimately, what the benefits are for this community are the opportunities to provide those services to those visitors. So if you're bringing tens of thousands of additional new people into this community every year, and you're placing them in, the heart of commercial, historic downtown, the opportunities for the existing businesses that would see new revenue opportunities, as well as opportunities to, I'd say, enhance some of the vacant facilities, as well redevelop some of the dilapidated facilities that need improvement. So the ripple effects of a dollar coming into the community go beyond checking into a hotel and paying for a conference. People spend a lot of time out in the community when they're in a community for different kinds of this. So putting that to a dollar amount, these are projections, these are forecasts, but we did bring in a third party, University of Missouri Extension, to do an economic impact study. So based on the projections of this project and the amount of visitors and the type of visitors, what can we anticipate as far as an impact to the community? And this is where it starts to get into big numbers, and I'll really hit that second bullet, the $310 million in new money being circulated in the community. And to me, that's where, when you're looking at how you grow a community, how your economy begins to flourish, you always want to see new restaurants, new commercial businesses, but ultimately, in order to support anything new and not displace or take away from what you have today, you need new money coming in. So new money can come from new jobs, it can come from new industries, and it can come from visitor experiences. And so the new dollars are new dollars coming into this community that then spread throughout. So that becomes the economic impact and the ripple effect of the dollar being spent. And so you think about how do we support more and improve downtown businesses? It's through that $310 million. How does new business and the local tax impacts, how do we see that? That's through those new dollars, new businesses, new employment that generates the ripple effect that creates jobs as well as a tax base. So that's really the why. I mean, so we talked about the demand that's kind of justifying the need, the opportunity. This is really why the impact is so important. How do we do it? It's always the tough part, the difficult question. It doesn't happen immediately. Would love that to be the case, love these processes to be quick, but they never are. I think being true to that and realistic to that on the front end is something we've tried to manage the expectations throughout. There's a process you gotta go through, and we'll show that on the next slide. But ultimately, the approach would be to, and I'll primarily focus on the middle column, but the first really hits on existing funds available to support the project. So there is an ARPA grant. The state is supporting the project through a contribution. There's an existing parking fund that can help with the rebuild of the parking garage, and there's other pursuits of different site-specific taxes that could be put in place to support the development. So these aren't, community-wide, these aren't regional, these are specific to the site. The private partnerships on the far right, as we progress, we will continue to engage with the private industries to determine their interests in the partnerships. For instance, you would assume, you see naming rights on a lot of buildings in different event centers that there would be those pursuits that we will move forward with. But the primary source of financing for a development like this is really based off of the revenue sources. So it's understanding what are the main income streams that this project produces directly that could then go back to pay for itself. And so it's looking at the existing lodging tax that we have in place, but as well the future year revenues that it generates, as well as looking at the revenue streams that the hotel would produce that could go back into paying the debt service, the parking revenue that would be generated that could go back into paying for the debt service, and as I mentioned, the future year lodging tax collection. So really the intent is to identify all the potential revenue streams that are directly generated on the site from the project and reinvesting those back into the project to ultimately pay for itself. But I will say without the project, without the development, this doesn't happen. And so again, understanding that the impact, the why, is ultimately what we're striving to achieve while doing it in a fiscal way that is responsible. And also, I thought it would be good to be just blatantly up at the top, like no new tax taxes. It's like there's from day one, it's been very well understood that is nothing to pursue, approach, or even put on the table, and that continues to be the case for sure. So from a timeline perspective, as mentioned, these are long projects, they're big projects. It takes a lot of professional resources. So while, kind of referred to as some of the lead on facilitating, we brought in a lot of third-party experts that are true experts in each of the niche fields to get this project off the ground. And so in the past year, we did a lot of planning, a lot of research, putting the business case together. This year is really focused on taking that early stage information, those reports, those studies, those plans, and refining. I will say, what's been produced today, you couldn't go out and just do it. So what you have to do is take the steps through the process from a design, pricing, capital stack, and continue to improve them. And I'll show that in the next slide. So 2025 primarily focused on further architectural refinement and putting the final pieces together with the anticipation of initiating construction and really beginning the project, which is ultimately removal of the parking garage so that the site can be built up in early 2026. Typical construction period, you're 18 to 24 months. I would depend on 24 months. And ultimately, the prize that we all see right there is, a modern, destination that's going to drive a lot of additional and new investment into this community as truly a transformational project. So kind of getting into those next steps, shown it in a very simple, I hope easy to read and understand funnel. So we take the work that's been done today and we drop it in the funnel. So not to get technical, but the work that's been done is the pre-development services. So that's kind of that culmination of the past year's worth of work to figure out what's the demand, what's the conceptual design, what's the early pricing, what's the estimated cost, and then what's the preliminary early stage plan of finance. So how do you start to understand, is this project improving to get to a point where we're ready to hit go? I will say you're never going to be ready with those final answers until you go through all this process. So some of those questions we would all want to be able to answer, and we've been asked since a year and a half ago, are unable to be answered until you go through the full process. So to date, that pre-development services, as I mentioned, was a conceptual design, which is really was based off of what the real estate study said is the demand. So kind of what the size should be, the number of rooms, the amount of meeting space, as well as parking. And then it was an early conceptual design of how do you design that on the site. The next steps will be, in kind of going through the due diligence, which will be a lot more of the on-the-ground due diligence, so more of the survey, geotech type of work. Schematic design and the next, really the next two design stages, schematic and design development, are where you continue to improve and better understand the true architectural and engineering. So the plans today, that's where having an engineer in the house is always a fantastic asset on the team, but this is not an engineer project at this point, it's a conceptual design. What you gotta continue to do is further define and refine all the engineering and architectural components of the project. So there's still a lot of work to be done, which will better inform the cost, which will also allow the time to further enhance the capital stack. So there's continued refinement through this process. So each stage of this funnel, with the anticipated timelines, would be, truly more improvement and more detail on design work, so the architectural side, which then is also brought, followed up with additional cost estimates, which then also refines the capital stack. So it's going to be a cycle, a circle of that process throughout each of these phases. And what you're doing is you're taking a kind of a year and a half ago was a foggy idea, and you keep driving it forward and making it more and more clear and more definitive. And with the goal to have, in roughly a year from now, a project that's been, fully designed with a guaranteed maximum price and a full plan of finance to make it feasible and possible. I can tell you we won't have all of that until we go through these processes. It just doesn't happen that way. And so that's it. I've tried to be very brief, because Eric said be very brief today. And now we had a full house, and I'll say too, we'll probably have some time to stick around too, so we can have additional conversations, one-on-one as well, if there's things folks want to talk about. But when we talk about kind of the why and the impact, and how do we move this community forward? How do we take a really great community and make it even better? I would say this is a project that begins to do that. There's always more work that we need to do, but this is a catalyst. This is something that, what I would do, and I apologize if you've done this with me before, but if you think about the project as we proposed, and you think about the location as it is today, and you visualize this on the site, you kind of plant yourself on the site, mentally. And you look 10, 15, 20 years ahead. And with this being in place, and you imagine what the downtown, Capitol Avenue, High Street, what's that look, the feel, the energy? And then you close your eyes, picture yourself in that same area and not pursuing something like this. And then picture 10, 15, 20 years from now. To me, that's why. This is a way to advance our community, to take an asset. We are the capital city. We're the only one in the state of Missouri that can say that. There's a lot of demand to be here. This is an opportunity for us to utilize that demand and that asset to help grow our economy. And so with that, that's my piece.
I'll open it up for questions, so we have time to do that.
Luke, I have a question. On your inverted pyramid, there's bidding and was it GMP? What is GMP?
Guaranteed maximum price.
Oh, very good, thank you.
I had a question, and maybe for the mayor. I think this model makes sense. That's for downtown. And can we replicate the same model when we talk about affordable housing and transportation? I don't see it growing the city. And as you said, it's economic development. And so for me, how do you sell this to people? No tax increase, that's great. but we're still at the same time dealing with affordable housing, industries that can't get people to come, and transportation that stops I think pretty early in the day. So while this is a great model, how can this model be used to embrace the entire Jefferson City and grow the population for all the various economic and social groups that live here? Because it would be hard for someone to capture this in their minds because it's just for downtown. So I don't know if that's city council.
City administrator shot that bit on that
Go ahead.
Go ahead. But just to address your question, and then I'll let Ryan. Housing drives everything we do in this community. Councilman Lester has been a huge advocate since he's been on council for housing. We are now beginning to show some results of that. We just announced, council just approved 116 units up on the north side of town. And we've got the Stronghold Landing out on the west side that'll be, I think, about 48 units. One of the most recent LIHTC project, low income housing tax credits. Mr. Farr is looking at building some units on Edgewood as we extend Wildwood up to the top of the hill, and that work has started. You won't see it from Edgewood, our engineer told me the other day, because they're starting at the top and working back down toward Edgewood, so there's a potential of another 100 there. We've got some little projects, 19 that were approved by planning and zoning. They'll be coming to council out off of Route B, and then we've got hopefully another exciting announcement to be able to make to the community within the next couple of months. So we are laser focused on housing. We understand to get this city to what I talked about 2 years ago, open for business and moving toward that 50,000, we've got to have places to put people. And we're working with outside individuals. Mr. Hemme, who's building the Savannah place up north of town, is an incredible individual. And it's people, and it's what we've been trying to do. We love the people in this community investing. We're trying to pull people out of the community saying, hey, you've got something exciting going in Jefferson City. We want to be a part of it, and we're starting to see the results of that. And again, a lot of it is because of Luke and his group and some of the work that Paul has done. We've had a lot of people that come to council say, I want to build 10 units, 15 units. Council approves it sometimes with arrows that they can indicate, and then the project just disappears. It's not built. So Paul kind of took it on as an initiative that we need to be engaged on the front side. As soon as someone says, hey, I would like to, follow up with them, work with them. Are you really intending to do this, or is this just a pie in the sky? Because I've said at that council table, it's hard to take those arrows if it's not a legitimate project. If it's a legitimate project, I mean, I think we're all willing to do it because we understand the impact of housing. But we're working on that. In regard to transportation, yes, that's a major challenge in this city. We have been working, and all of our council members, on looking at microtransit as a way to expand our transportation network, our bus network. It's a net loser for the city, which it is for most cities. You can't make money on transit, but we have a responsibility to be able to get people around this community. So we are working on that. I didn't want to take all your thunder because Brian has been a huge catalyst in taking our concepts.
A nice visual would help for me. I don't go to the city council meetings, but just a visual, what you just said, shows progress. But seeing it on paper, or maybe the chamber addresses that. But so that for me, this was very helpful. And so you're using a similar model as you're looking at your housing, but I would like to see more visual, and that would be helpful to me. And so thank you for that, because that means we're having some progress.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, we're really focused on economic development, and we've had a lot of tools in the toolbox, and we've used those in the past to great success. And what we're really trying to do is look at residential development the same way we've looked at economic development in the past. We've had a lot of success on economic development, and then the market's really struggled on residential development. So we're trying to use some similar tools, like you said. How do you replicate these models? It's real simple. You try to look at those tools that are available. So we've been doing that. We do have a really good presentation on some of the things that the mayor discussed and some of the projects that are going online. The city council's been really gracious to afford us the resources to try to incentivize housing in our community, and not just at low income, but all the way up to large scale developments as well. So you're going to see these coming online. A lot of those are negotiations that JC Reps helped out with, cities helped out with, our partners have helped out with, and those are all coming online as we keep going. You'll see a lot of that. Just yesterday, the Public Works and Planning Committee for the city, it's in today's paper, Stephanie did an article on it.
She just looked out.
So you can read about that, but that's one of those programs where the city council said, yes, we're focused on this, we gotta do something about it. We created a program to try to incentivize housing, and we've got 55 or 56, 55 that Public Works and Planning just approved in a new program we started that is really, if you build a home quickly, will incentivize that as a developer reimbursement for $5,000. And we're seeing the success. And I want to say last year we did about 17 new home building permits, and I think we're going to start blowing that out of the water in the next few years.
So I want to piggyback, thank you, Jackie, I've been asking myself that question for the last 3 months. So just to piggyback on Jackie's question, then, what is the city council's plan for what they're going to do on the land where the Old Sherman Hotel currently sits? Is that part of the plan for renovating the housing problem, or is there a different plan that you guys are going to get with that property that's going to continue to stimulate the economy?
Do you want to take it or? Let me start off. I think I know Ron's answer, but let me just tell you, there's a couple tools in the toolbox when we're talking about private property to remove structures, and Ryan Molnar is well versed on this, he's our city attorney. But really, there's a couple methods. It's one, you try to acquire the property. One, you try to use your dangerous building codes to incentivize somebody to redevelop. Or you work with that property owner. And really, we've talked about 2 of the 3. We haven't talked about acquiring the property. It's not for sale, it's not a property. So there are private property rights that are involved in that. The second one is the dangerous building code, and that is very expensive and is very long and drawn out, and it's usually a court battle, which doesn't seem like a good path forward. Because it's a big structure, we estimate it's $1 million plus to get it removed. So the third option is working with the property owner to come up with some type of a development agreement. And that's what we tried a few months ago. We just couldn't get it over the finish line. The property owner was only willing to go so far. So really right now, we're at a standstill on that project until the council either gives us the resources or the guidance on how they like to move forward.
And I would just tag on to that, and the community knows that we had a challenge a month or so ago, and council decided to not proceed. And I think it's a good example of why groups like this have got to be engaged in our community. The only people we heard from were people opposed to what city council was proposing. And all I've heard the 8 years I've been on, 6 years on council now, 2 years as mayor, get rid of that project, get rid of the Truman Hotel, do what you need to do to invest dollars, do it. I can tell you, we negotiated, and Ryan has been negotiating longer than that, year and a half. On other opportunities, we laid everything on the table and cobbled together the best deal we could get from the people that, as Brian indicated, own the property. And we got pushed back and decided not to move forward. But we need people to support council, let them know. And you don't hear from people that are neutral on it, that they don't care either way, or people that support it, they think, well, they know I support it. We don't always know you support it. So it's nice for people to say, I've heard from a lot of people afterwards, can't believe you guys punted on that. You never spoke up. You never asked. You never come in and said, hey, what you guys are doing. So we've got some tools, as Brian indicated, but they're going to be a lot more expensive if we take that option, we can do that. We've got a couple other projects, or a couple other potential opportunities just like it that we may have to engage in as a city, which is going to cost. So we just need people to be involved. Last thing I'd say, not related to that, I see Bo West back there, I kind of talked about our out-of-town developers, but Bo has been an amazing partner in this city, has invested a lot of dollars, so I just want to say thank you for what you're doing, and we're going to continue to work with opportunities for people locally. I didn't want to give the indication that we're not working with local, but we've got to do both to meet the needs, but Bo's been an amazing asset for this city, and I just thank you.
Mayor, will you and Luke and Diane be able to stick around a few minutes?
I commit for me, I think, but yeah.
Okay. All right, well, lots of good ideas on future topics. This program. Great job on the presentation this morning. Let's give our presenters.
Yeah, in our few minutes, anybody have an announcement? They want to make a quick announcement about their business or some event you're working on? Yeah, go ahead.
My last one this year, Angie Clampett Prolific Exteriors, our Apple for a Teacher nominations in this month. So if you know of any teachers in the Mid-Missouri area, they have to be a public school full-time teacher. You don't have to know whether they need a roof. If you feel like that they are a wonderful teacher, please send them our way. I take care of finding out if they actually need a roof and if they own their home. So we're just looking for nominations.
Carrie?
Hi, I am Carrie Spicer, and I'm also in Zonta, which is the international group of empowering women in the community. I'm also the Z Club chair, which is the high school girls. We're doing a Girls Empowerment Day on May 3rd for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in McClung Park. So we're doing self-defense, yoga, all this cool stuff. So if you know any middle schoolers interested, please let me know.
And also on Monday, May 12th, so right after that event, we have our Capital City Concert Trivia Night at that free company, and I did create a Facebook event, so you can find it there, or you can find me.
Renee, and then here.
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, I am the chair of Women Connect in the Chamber, and again, I would say along with the Women's Symposium, if you've got other women in your organization that are maybe not connected into a lot of chamber events, Women Connect is a great way for them to do that. So reach out to me, Lori, Susan on that. Darcy also.
As I said earlier, I'm going to be in Papos tonight from 4:30 to 6:30. I am ready, prepared, and willing to talk about any question. Truman, Conference Center, roads, taxes, bring it.
Dan wants to know if you're lying.
I even heard it.
We are gearing up for our Reveal Your Skill brunch, April 19th at Capitol Ritz. This is our annual fundraiser that helps us to fund all of our youth sexual violence prevention education that we do in the community. We're really excited to have Miss Missouri and Miss Lincoln University as our featured speakers, and the lovely and wonderful Renee Binkle and Kara Johnson will be hosting this year. We have a very fabulous program put in place so that we can continue to do the wonderful work that we do with the boys program, like Healthy Masculinity and our Healthy Relationships courses for our girls. So we need sponsorships, and you can get tickets. I have flyers here if anyone would like those.
Anyone else quickly? And,
Not my event, but seats are limited. So on March the 29th, there is a free lunch and learn on suicide prevention over at the American Legion from 12 to 1:30. Some seats are limited. Call Rick to secure your spot to register at 573-636-2311. So this is great for anybody working in the mental health, social human services, or if you have a family member that's current military, former military, active reserve. There's on average about 18 military a day that we lose due to suicide. So this is a great awareness and prevention lunch and learn. Again, on March 29th from 12 to 1:30.
anybody else? And
I failed to mention that this year we are recognizing community partners and we will be recognizing Angela Hirsch with RACs and Building Community Groups.
And I apologize, I didn't allow the folks that joined us online to introduce themselves, I just blew right through that, so I'm sorry guys if you're still with us. And I don't know if anyone has an announcement, but I'll try to do better next time, not forget you. Anything else? Well, thanks for being here guys, have a great Friday.